Doctor Strange is one of the most powerful heroes in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. We don't think anyone's going to try to argue with that. And while fighting Thanos on Titan during the events of Avengers Infinity War, we got to see the Sorcerer Supreme hold his own against the Mad Titan, showcasing magical skills far beyond those we saw him use in his own solo film. However, in Endgame, despite having been restored to life from a rather dusty state, we did not see him take a swing at Thanos during the final battle. Well, why the heck not? Well, there's a theory floating around that might explain his actions, and in this video, we're gonna talk all about it. Let's dive right in. During the battle on Titan, Doctor Strange went toe-to-toe with the purple chin monstrosity himself, Thanos. Strange managed to hold his own for quite a while before ultimately falling to the Mad Titan. That's a bit of a bummer, but it was still a pretty sweet fight, made even more impressive by the fact that Strange wasn't just fighting Thanos, but Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, rocking 4 out of the 6 Infinity Stones: Power, Space, Reality, and Soul. So one could imagine that if Strange was to go up against Thanos without the gauntlet, he might be able to take him out by himself. And he got a chance to do just that when the Avengers, along with everyone else who had just been snapped back into existence, fought the 2014 pre-gauntlet version of Thanos at the ruins of Avengers headquarters at the end of Endgame. Yet Strange spent the majority of the battle chilling on the back line, using his magical abilities to hold back the river after an enormous explosion caused a massive flood to threaten all of those on the battlefield. Which, yeah, is kind of an important job all things considered. Sort of hard to fight an evil invading army hell-bent on total annihilation, awesome game by the way, when you are drowning under the crushing weight of an entire river. So fair on Strange for taking care of that. However, any number of different people could handle what is essentially a support job. Heck, there was an entire legion of other sorcerers that Wong brought to the battle. Surely one or more of them could have handled holding back the water so that Strange could fly into action and give the purple guy a piece of his magic mind. But there is one rather simple explanation if you stop and think about it. One thing that held Strange back from going all magical beast mode on Thanos. Back in Infinity War, Strange had a moment where he utilized the Time Stone to look forward in time towards over 14 million different possible outcomes for the battle yet to come. Of those 14 million plus possibilities, only one future spelled victory for the heroes. So basically, Thanos was almost right when he said that he was inevitable, as it would take a very specific series of events to defeat him and stop him from accomplishing his goal of bringing the universe into perfect balance. And as it happens, Strange happened to know exactly what those specific events were. And when we say specific, we mean specific. For example, when all of the portals opened up during the climax of Endgame and all the heroes emerged from them, Strange turned to Wong, who it's important to note hadn't been seen by each other in over 5 years, assuming of course that Wong wasn't snapped, which seems to be the case based upon what we've heard from official sources and his character poster that was released before the film came out. So these two friends, having not seen each other in half a decade, are standing on the cusp of one of the largest battles in the history of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. And instead of having a touching reunion or expressing emotion for each other, Strange instead simply asked Wong if everyone was there, which Wong responded to with a rather tongue-in-cheek answer. That moment may have been played off as a joke in the film, but when you really stop and think about it, that moment could have some pretty serious implications. Strange isn't just checking in on the status of the army with Wong, and he also isn't just ribbing his friend a little bit. He is legitimately asking if everyone who is supposed to be there is there. Because, you see, if anything at all is off, then the chance lessens that this is the single timeline where the Avengers come out on top. So that means every single person, be it big, powerful Avengers, or someone as small and relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of things, such as Howard the Duck, who was totally at that battle, visible in the background packing a big freaking gun, needed to be present for things to occur the exact way they needed to. So effectively, what we're trying to say is that Strange didn't fight Thanos because it was predetermined by him that the exact way to win the day was not to take him on himself. Instead, he let others fight the Mad Titan for him, such as Captain Marvel, who did a pretty good job of holding him off from snapping once he got a hold of the Nano Gauntlet, and Scarlet Witch, who had one of the most butt-kickingly amazing moments in the entire film when she confronted the monster who took her love vision from her. She would have probably been able to do it too, since she was whooping him so bad that he had to call in an airstrike just to stop her from tearing his heart out like she did to Ultron back in the second Avengers film, Age of Ultron. So, for the sake of argument, let's look at a hypothetical situation where Strange did in fact try to take on the purple guy, and what might have happened if he did so. Note that this is just one possible outcome. As we said, there are over 14 million possible ways things could have gone down. So if you have a different theory for how things could have gone, be sure to leave it in the comments below. So, for this idea, we'll assume that basically everything went according to plan, just as we saw in Infinity War and Endgame. Thanos successfully snapped his fingers in Wakanda, decimating half of the living things in the universe, before retreating to his farm where he destroyed the stones and was ultimately beheaded by Thor. The Avengers went on their time heist, bringing everyone back, and 2014 Thanos came a-knockin'. So, during the massive fight, the river gets unleashed on the battlefield just like in the film. However, instead of dealing with it himself, Strange allowed a group of sorcerers to deal with that situation and then flew off to find Thanos. Meanwhile, Thanos was trying desperately to get a hold of the Nano Gauntlet, facing off against Captain Marvel and Tony Stark in order to get it. This is where Doctor Strange enters the fray. He swoops in, utilizing the cloak of levitation to fly over the carnage down below. He aids the other two heroes in keeping Thanos away from the gauntlet for a while, but even without the gauntlet, Thanos is a force to be reckoned with. He is ultimately able to get a hold of the gauntlet and goes to snap just as he did in the final film. However, Strange makes his move, using magic to not only stop the snap, but remove the gauntlet from Thanos' grasp. So even defeating Thanos here, things don't end well for the team, as there is still quite the force around the battlefield, including the Black Order, such as Ebony Maw, who, as we saw in the film, actually wasn't too far away from Thanos when Tony snapped. So theoretically, the Black Order could move in to try to claim the gauntlet from the heroes left tired after fighting their master. And in this hypothetical situation that we're talking about here, they do just that. Moving fast, they claim the gauntlet, and one of them snaps themselves. No one ever said that it had to be Thanos himself who snapped with the gauntlet, and in theory, the Black Order would be willing to do it if their leader ever got taken out, since, you know, they subscribe to his philosophy and all that. So the only real way to completely stop Thanos and his underlings from unleashing the decimation on the universe is to take them all out at once, exactly like what happened when Stark snapped all of them out of existence in the film. Do you get what we're saying here when we point out that everything had to go exactly to plan for things to turn out the way they needed to? Because there were a million little variables that could cause the outcome to change, and Strange was completely aware of that fact. Heck, you could probably even argue that his battle against Thanos in Infinity War went exactly as he foresaw it, since he had seen the future before that. Maybe he went so far as to even throw the fight, only hitting Thanos with a degree of his power. Plus, there is one other thing that might have stopped Strange from taking on Thanos, something a little less supernatural. Remember in his solo film, when he fought off one of Dormammu's zealots in his astral form, leading to him ultimately having to end that man's life? Shortly afterwards, while arguing with Mordo about whether or not he was truly committed to the cause, Strange pointed out that he had just been forced to take a life, something that was against the oath he took as a doctor to do no harm to anyone. Basically, he took an oath to never kill anyone, which he had just kind of done. So needless to say, he was probably not super thrilled about the idea of killing Thanos, knowing that the only way to truly stop someone with such crazed devotion to his ideals was to end him. So maybe Strange was well aware that he would have been able to take out the Mad Titan without the gauntlet, and wanted to avoid any futures where victory relied on him doing just that. Of course, that idea gets a bit hairy once you think about it for longer than about 5 seconds, as that would mean that Strange lied about seeing only one future where they won, and purposely orchestrated things in such a way as to bring about the end that he preferred, which meant sending Stark to his ultimate doom. Kind of makes Strange out as less of a noble character if that is indeed the case. Either way, there are 14,605 reasons why Doctor Strange didn't jump into the fight himself during Endgame. If things did not go precisely the way they were intended to based upon the outcomes Strange saw back in Infinity War, Thanos would have ultimately won.
How many did you see?
14,605.
How many did we win?
1.
So the next time you're arguing with your friends about whether or not Strange is a wimp for sitting out the majority of the battle, just remember that he was doing exactly what he knew he needed to do to win the day. Why do you think Strange sat out the fight? What do you think would have happened if he took on Thanos in Endgame? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and while you're down there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to ScreenRant for even more videos all about your favorite comic book superhero films. Thanks for watching, have a great one.